Muito boa tarde. Bem-vindos ao 26º Congresso Mundial da Uniapac. Para nos dar as boas-vindas, chamamos ao palco a reitora da Universidade Católica Portuguesa, a professora Isabel Capeloa Gil.
Sr. Professor Rolando Medeiros, Sr. Dr. João Pedro Gonçalves, Monsenhor, distintos convidados, é uma honra para a Universidade Católica Portuguesa acolher este fórum da Uniapac e continuar a parceria estratégica que de há muitos anos, desde a nossa fundação, temos com a Associação Portuguesa de Economistas e Gestores Católicos. Portanto, agradeço muito em particular à Acege, de novo, a parceria e a escolha que fez a Universidade e desejo a todos que se sintam bem nestes dias, nesta nossa casa que também é vossa. But as you've seen, our motto is built locally to inspire globally. So I will just say a few words in English, if you'll allow me. We'll be speaking in multiple language, I understand, throughout these 3 days. It is my pleasure and my honor, and we feel it is truly a privilege to be able to welcome you all to Católica in Lisbon. Universities are the focal point of a new economic model that is no longer simply based on manufacturing and commodities, but is driven and led by those who own intellectual capital. This clearly requires stronger links between business and academia. It means that businesses must tap into the resources available in universities more effectively, and universities must be flexible in catering to the changing business demands. And in fact, this is the story of this university, a story that we've been successfully telling since we were founded 50 years ago, creating bridges with business aimed at defending human dignity and working for the common good. As our motto says, we are set on creating value with values for society through education and research, and while doing so, to energize other stakeholders across the system, from businesses to industry. UCP introduced the first management degree to Portugal. Of course, there had been economics already, but management and business, we were the leaders in this regard. We were the early starters. And since then, we have been successfully educating generations of business leaders. Many of them are here today as well. As a Catholic institution, it is our mission to contribute to the advancement of knowledge with a Christian vision, and very specifically in the field of business and economics, to embolden our graduates to work ethically towards growth and to use their knowledge to improve the condition of humankind. It is important to recall a Christian sense of development that contends against ideas of growth, such as the one put across in that early and notoriously provocative article published by Milton Friedman in 1970 in the New York Times Magazine, an article that many of you may remember, titled "The Social Responsibility of Business is to Increase Its Profit." Milton, in this article, argued that, when I quote him, social responsibility was a fundamentally subversive doctrine in a free society, unquote. We certainly know better now, 50 years on, and have for long been working along the lines of what other economists have called the triple bottom line, arguing that concern for society and the environment can coexist with an ambition for profit and growth, because there can only be a future for society if businesses contribute to the common good. This means, in short, to look at the world as made up of human beings who are also consumers and not primordially as consumers without agency and dignity. As Pope Francis inspires us to do in the apostolic exhortation Evangelii Gaudium, it is important to mend the system which tends to devour anything which stands in the way of increased profits and defend that which is fragile, like the environment, and defenseless before the interests of a deified market. So in that sense that we'll all be working for the common good, I bid you welcome to Católica and have 3 wonderful days. Thank you.
Na abertura deste congresso e na impossibilidade de estar presente por questões de agenda, temos o maior gosto de apresentar uma mensagem aos congressistas de Sua Excelência, o Presidente da República de Portugal, Professor Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa.
Uma palavra para vos dizer bem-vindos a Portugal. Bem-vindos a Portugal de todos os pontos do mundo. Líderes empresariais, dirigentes e gestores, que têm em comum quererem um mundo melhor, mais justo, mais fraterno, mais solidário. Que têm em comum o partilharem valores próprios de uma visão personalista da vida. Isto é, uma visão baseada na dignidade da pessoa. E essa visão, que é uma visão cristã, que é uma visão ecuménica, que é uma visão universal, aberta e fraterna, é ao mesmo tempo uma visão responsabilizante, porque todos aqueles que partilhamos essa visão, sabemos que promover a dignidade da pessoa, e no vosso caso, promover a dignidade da pessoa na vida empresarial, implica uma atenção constante ao mérito, à promoção da equidade e da justiça, mas também da competência, mas também do sentido do serviço dos outros. E a atividade empresarial pode e deve ser isso. Em Portugal, a Acege, desde 1962, prossegue esses objetivos. Várias vezes tenho tido a oportunidade de contactar com essa associação cristã que reúne os gestores e empresários de projeção em Portugal. projeção pelos valores, não projeção egoísta, egocêntrica, mas projeção de serviço dos outros. E como isso é importante no mundo em que vivemos, num mundo dividido por egoísmos, por visões unilaterais, por conflitos, por guerras, num mundo que é um mundo que mais depressa promove o desentendimento do que a concórdia, a palavra do Papa Francisco, o exemplo do Papa Francisco e os valores próprios do cristianismo devem estar presentes na vida empresarial, nos trabalhadores como nos empresários, nos líderes e gestores como naqueles que dão o seu contributo permanente para que, através das empresas, se enriqueça aquilo que é o significado fundamental da vida de uma sociedade. As pessoas de carne e osso, a sua promoção, a sua afirmação, a sua igualdade, aquilo que justifica, no fundo, a nossa presença neste universo. Welcome to Portugal. Welcome to a very peaceful country, a friendly country, that when welcoming you is at the same time showing you as a platform among cultures, civilizations, oceans and continents, how deeply we are involved in what is really a constitutional duty to fulfill, to implement, to respect and to promote the dignity of human person. Welcome to Portugal.
Chamamos agora ao palco o Presidente da Acege, João Pedro Tavares, para a intervenção inicial deste Congresso.
Welcome to Portugal. Like our President said, welcome, you are at home, and we hope that you enjoy this event. It will be more than an event, and I'll switch to Portuguese because beside Rolando, all of us will speak in our native language, okay? Bem-vindos, espero que desfrutem. Começo por agradecer à Universidade Católica e à professora por estar presente e por nos acompanhar nestes momentos e por sempre nos ter acompanhado. Também quero agradecer à Uniapac, que nos deu a honra e confiou em nós, grande risco, de organizar esse evento e, portanto, agradeço ao Rolando e a toda a equipa da Uniapac por nos dar esta oportunidade. Agradeço a todos os que vieram de longe, de terras distantes, do outro lado do mundo, das Filipinas, tão longe, e uma grande delegação, todos os que estão a seguir em live streaming. Somos mais do que aqueles que estão nesta sala. Somos muitos mais e, portanto, temos que estar todos muito orgulhosos de toda esta realidade. Business as a noble vocation. O negócio como uma vocação e como uma nobre vocação. É provavelmente dos desafios maiores que nos é feito na vida. Desde logo porque nos estão a chamar para mais de 50% da nossa vida, que é o mundo do trabalho. E estão-nos a chamar para uma vocação. Porque a vocação é um chamamento que tem por detrás. E vejam que Cristo chamou os seus discípulos em contexto profissional. Chamou-os no próprio contexto onde estavam. E de uns fez pescadores de homens e de outros converteu coletores de impostos. E é isso que nós somos chamados a responder e a estar e a seguir e a ir. E a viver tudo o que se falou aqui. A defesa da dignidade da pessoa, a criação de valor, a justa distribuição, contribuir para uma sociedade mais inclusiva, mais justa, para contribuir para uma maior dignidade, uma maior solidariedade, uma maior subsidiariedade. Tenho 30 anos de consultor e garanto-vos que este é o mais valioso e o mais virtuoso de todos os modelos existentes, em termos de impacto económico, social e ecológico. E não há outro tão bom, tão virtuoso como este. Não o faço por piedade, faço porque acredito convictamente que este é o melhor de todos os sistemas. Obrigado. Vamos ouvir falar sobre os desafios de um líder. E muitas vezes digo e refiro que, inspirado no Raj Sisodia, que amanhã vai falar connosco, que um líder tem 3 P's. Muitos mais, mas tem 3 P's. Desde logo, performance. Resultados. Não profit, não lucro, mas performance. Criar valor e distribuir valor. Depois, purpose. Propósito. Viver com sentido de missão. Não tem uma agenda pessoal. Vai para lá. É alguém que dá, não é alguém que recebe em permanência. Deixa uma pegada. Não espera aplausos. Está pronto a servir. É um líder que serve. Tem um sentido de propósito. E o terceiro, people. Pessoas. Não falamos de recursos humanos. Falamos de pessoas. Não defendemos a dignidade dos recursos humanos. Defendemos a dignidade das pessoas. Porque no mundo empresarial temos muitos recursos humanos, de equipamento, naturais, de capital. Temos imensos recursos e se vamos tratar estes recursos de igual modo, vamos inquinar o modelo futuro. São pessoas e nós não somos responsáveis pelos números dos nossos negócios. Nós somos responsáveis por pessoas e essas pessoas vão fazer os números. E vão ser responsáveis por outras pessoas, e outras pessoas, e outras pessoas. E todas elas, como equipa, como líderes, porque somos formadores de líderes, e essa é a nossa missão, vão criar esse valor. A Acege está chamada a inspirar os líderes empresariais a viver o amor e a verdade como critérios de gestão. E isto vai-nos criar uma nova tensão. Por outras palavras, estamos chamados a estar no mundo sem ser do mundo, para transformar o mundo. Essa é a nossa missão e estamos alinhados com a Uniapac nesta missão. Queremos que seja um congresso interativo e por isso queremos convidar-vos a pegar no vosso booklet, no vosso livro e na contracapa a verem as instruções que têm que seguir para criarmos esta interatividade. E por isso queria-vos pedir que peguem nos vossos telemóveis, liguem-se à rede, eventos, liguem-se ao Menti. Follow all these instructions, please. And let's try to be connected. Okay? So, just select one country. What is your native country? We have already 5 replies. Let's try to connect. It should be 400. Come on, Philippines, where are you? There's a big delegation from Philippines. Just 40 people. We need more. And we need this is just to test. We know how many of you are. Mexico. Great job. You're there. You can also use, if you want to share thoughts from the event, you can use the hashtag. Okay? Please use the hashtag that is suggested here. 70. We have already 20% of the people. I think that the biggest delegation outside Portugal is Philippines. Where are you? Okay, a bit more and we close this. It's just to train you. This is our purpose. Switching to Portuguese. Quando pensamos em modelos de negócio, vamos continuar a usar KPIs. Mas agora vou-vos pedir KPIs diferentes. Vou-vos pedir nas vossas empresas quais são os Key Performance Indicators, os Key Purpose Indicators e os Key People Indicators. E é esse o nosso scorecard. É mais do que resultado financeiro puro, é mais do que lucro. E esse é o desafio que eu vos quero deixar. Vamos a uma segunda pergunta. What is your business sector? Education. Choose the best one. So big diversity here. Except people from government, energy and utilities. Nelida, where are you? $120. That's good. We are performing better than the previous one. Business services, growing a lot. We did not put theology, so sorry for that. Very good. Education, business services, real estate, construction, and non-profit. And financial services. Okay? A big diversity. So let's switch to the third one. Do you believe that business can be a noble vocation? Yes or no? We will try to do this now and at the end. Oh, come on. Very good. It depends. Sure. It's a consultant for sure. Okay, lots of yes. So we will try to do this again at the end. This is not an event. This is not a congress. This is a transformational experience. And we want that you take it as a transformational experience. Okay? Enjoy these days, and I would like to call Rolando Medeiros, our dear president. ¿Qué tal?
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being with us in this 26th World Congress of Uniapac. Monsignor Dufay, thank you for being with us. The rector of the Catholic University of Portugal, thank you not only for your presence, but for hosting this event. This is a wonderful place, not only because of Lisbon, but because of the facilities that you have here. So thank you very much for your hospitality. Stefano, and with him, all our keynote speakers, Joe Pedro, Acege has done an excellent job in putting together this Congress, and I really appreciate all the collaboration of all the people that have been involved supporting this event, which is a very important event for Uniapac. Thank you, and ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 26th World Congress of Uniapac. Lisbon and Portugal in general has been the start of impactful long-range journeys to every corner of the earth. Many of these journeys have transformed the world in what we know it today. By hosting our 26th World Congress here in Lisbon, I do expect that this Congress will also be the start of our personal journey into the quest of transforming business into a noble vocation. A quest which is as appealing, challenging, and compelling than many of those journeys that have established as the starting point Lisbon. However, this is a journey that is much more urgent given the current challenges we are facing and what is in front of us in this 21st century. As the Polish poet Cyprian Norwid wrote in the 19th century, quote, "To be what is called happy, one should have, 1, something to live on, 2, something to live for, and 3rd, something to die for." The lack of only one of these elements results in drama. The lack of 2 results in tragedy, end of quote. We truly hope that the content of this Congress testifies the wisdom of those words. We truly hope that the workplace can be transformed in a source of flourishing, a source of eudaimonia in the full sense that Aristotle gave to the happiness by this term. But even beyond that, as we expect to see in many practical examples and business cases that will be discussed in this Congress. On the basis of the Christian anthropology, a relational anthropology, no profit is legitimate when it falls short of the objective of the integral development and integral promotion of the human person, the universal destination of goods, and the preferential option for the poor. Is this utopia, or is difficult but achievable? How could our role as business leaders, typically understood as profit maximizers, be reconciled with these requirements? What a challenge, what a journey. Frequently, many considerations for an ethical discernment regarding some aspects of the present economic system focus their attention mainly on a sound change of it and in propositional changes to its structural factors. Nonetheless, the individual characteristics of the main actors and decision makers in the system, namely the economic and financial business leaders, the market participants, etc., do play a significant role as catalysts of a new social behavior. The way they interact with the existing structures and how they will react to new ones become critical in shaping actions to the search for the common good and to the establishment of these actions on the sound principles of solidarity and subsidiarity. By analyzing the key underlying concepts of the noble vocation of business, Uniapac's 26th World Congress aims to provide such a supplementary emphasis by expanding on the requirements for a personal transformation by all those engaged in the business, in a very dynamic economic financial system with an extremely rapid pace of change brought by innovation, creativity, and instant communications. Adequate regulations will tend to lag no matter how quickly they adapt to new circumstances and how rapidly abuses or surpasses become known. Self-regulations based on a principled business performance are of paramount importance in these cases, and the ethical conduct of the business leader is key to ensure an unconditional respect of the human dignity. Consequently, current and future business leaders are required to be exposed to a broader understanding of the economy and finance in light of a vision of the totality of the human person, which avoids its reduction to only some of his or her dimensions, and in this specific context, reduction to a homo economicus. Consistent with the foregoing considerations, Uniapac aspires to be recognized worldwide by its distinct promotion of business as a noble vocation. The underpinning insights of this vision are based on the conviction that business is a vocation, and a noble vocation, provided that those engaged in it see themselves challenged by a greater meaning in life. This will enable them truly to serve the common good by striving to increase the goods of this world and to make them more accessible to all. In light of this conviction, three key requirements in this quest for the transformation of business into a noble vocation can be distinguished. One, the personal transformation of the business leader. Second, building more humane organizational cultures. And third, businesses serving the common good. These three requirements are the keystones on which the agenda of this World Congress has been built. We, as business leaders, as any other human beings, flourish when we not only meet our needs of sustaining and reproducing our bodies, but when we also meet two higher level needs: our need to belong and our need for significance, for meaning, for noble purpose. And we truly believe that not only in our families, in our communities, in our churches, etc., we can find a source of flourishment, but also in our daily business endeavors, if pursued as a noble vocation. Welcome to Uniapac's 26th World Congress. Thank you. Cardinal Peter Turkson, the prefect of the Dicastery for Integral Development of the Human Person, couldn't come to our Congress. However, we are going to exhibit a video that he put together that has a very good summary of the meaning of business as a noble vocation.
Good morning, dear friends. You gathered to discuss the responsibility of business for promoting integral human development. This, as you know, is a very theme or the subject matter of our dicastery, and I would have loved, therefore, to be there with you to participate in this event. That not being possible, I'm glad to be able to connect with all of you through this electronic means to be able to commend your deliberations all to God's care and wish you great success. But gathered to discuss business and its responsibility for promoting integral human development reminds me of two episodes that I've been involved in. 2 or 3 years ago, I was involved by a group of Catholic businessmen in Chile to discuss something similar. There the formulation was the role of business for society. And that was interesting because one would have expected a formulation like the role of business in society, but that was not the case. The group that had gathered, they wanted to consider the role of business for society. And that formulation is very similar to what you gathered to discuss today. The responsibility of business for integral human development. The other episode that comes to mind that your meeting reminds me of is a mission that I carried on behalf of Pope Francis to Davos in 2014. There I carried a letter to the opening session of Davos, and in the letter the Holy Father referred to business as a noble vocation. By referring to business as a noble vocation, he went on to challenge business, recognizing that it has lifted the lives of so very many millions of people out of poverty, but still, it's also created a lot of inequalities and has still left a lot down there. And so at the end of this message, he challenged all the business people who had gathered in Davos to use their proven competence, the excellence which they have already displayed in their various businesses, to create an inclusive system to help lift up the very many poor who still need to be helped. This challenge of the Holy Father, as some of you may know, refers way back. Goes to Rerum Novarum, where Pope Leo XIII, recognizing the right of people to own property and capital, still said that the ownership, the possession or the ownership of capital invites us to freely exercise the responsibility to help the poor. This, in a lot of ways, is what business people seek to do. In their use of capital, whether it's that of themselves or their shareholders, it is ultimately also so they can exercise the free responsibility to lift up the very many poor and needy people. So integral human development invites us to do just that. Business, a noble vocation, has to be noble in this regard, recognizing that the good things that God bestowed on creation was meant for all. So processing these natural resources for the concrete specific needs of humanity must recognize that these resources, with everything that is made out of them, must also serve the good of all, what we refer to as the universal destination of all the goods of the earth. Therefore, I wish to recommend that with all businesses, the focus becomes three things which leads to a fourth. Three goods which lead to a fourth good. That is, may the work that businesses develop be good. May the services and the work that they develop itself also be good. And may business seek and make good wealth, which will be shared equitably and equal among all stakeholders and shareholders. And all of these three goods help us to formulate a fourth good, which is the good of all, the common good. And when the common good is realized, then we will have attained the integral development of all. So, my dear friends, wish you great success in your discussion, and we'll be glad to learn from the outcome of your deliberations, and feel generous. Be welcome to share that with us. Thank you, and God bless your meeting.
We in Uniapac feel very honored by the support we are receiving from Cardinal Peter Turkson and the dicastery in all senses. They have allowed us to actively participate in a booklet. You have copies of the booklet in your documents that were distributed at the entrance. And that's the vocation of the business leader. What you have in your bags is the 5th edition of this booklet that was recently released, including a lot of insightful thoughts of Pope Francis. I'm glad to present Monsignor Bruno Dufay, who is the secretary of the dicastery, and he's going to present us this 5th vision of the vocation of the business leader. Monsignor, thank you very much for your presence here.
Madame le recteur, Mesdames et Messieurs, responsables d'entreprise, leaders économiques, acteurs de la vie locale, nationale, internationale, acteurs de solidarité, c'est un honneur pour moi, même si c'est difficile après avoir entendu mon préfet, le cardinal Turkson. C'est un honneur pour moi de vous adresser ces quelques mots dans cette séance inaugurale de votre Assemblée, au nom de son éminence le cardinal Peter Turkson, préfet du dicaster pour le service du développement humain intégral, et qui est aujourd'hui loin de nous, mais pas par le cœur, pas par la distance, mais non, toujours avec nous par le cœur, et qui a désiré vous assurer de manière chaleureuse ses encouragements pour vos travaux. Il a suivi de près, lorsqu'il présidait le Conseil pontifical Justice et Paix, le premier document sur la vocation du dirigeant d'entreprise et continue, comme il vient de l'exprimer, à soutenir cette réflexion de votre dernière publication qui actualise et renouvelle cette approche de la vocation du dirigeant d'entreprise. En qualité de secrétaire du dicaster pour le service du développement humain intégral, ce dicaster qui a été créé par le pape François en 2016, je suis particulièrement attentif, pour ce qui me concerne, au rôle central que joue l'entreprise et ses acteurs, comme aussi bien dans les institutions économiques locales et internationales, le rôle qui consiste à chercher de manière permanente ce qui contribue à la construction d'un monde juste. Cette quête, cette recherche permanente qui est caractéristique de notre modernité et sans doute aussi de ce que nous nommons la postmodernité, c'est-à-dire les révolutions technologiques, numériques, les révolutions aussi qui touchent maintenant aux questions fondamentales de l'environnement et de l'avenir de la planète. Ces questions qui sont donc, qu'on peut donc reprendre autour de la question du développement et du sens du développement. Comment ce que nous construisons, comment ce que nous innovons, comment ce que nous fabriquons, échangeons, comment cela peut-il contribuer à la construction d'un monde juste? C'est bien autour de cette question du sens du développement que la question de la vocation peut prendre corps. Car il s'agit de déployer les capacités humaines. Il s'agit de répondre à un certain nombre de défis. Il s'agit de penser chacun et ensemble, l'avenir et le devenir de notre humanité. En créant le dicaster pour le développement humain intégral, le pape François a souhaité ardemment que nous sortions d'une approche fragmentée et par trop sectorielle ou spécialisée de la réalité économique et sociale. La segmentation, l'hyperspécialisation des approches peuvent en venir en effet à nuire à la considération de la personne humaine dans la promesse qu'elle porte et dans ses talents, dans ses capacités. Notre enfermement à certains moments dans un secteur d'activité ou dans un secteur de connaissances ou dans un secteur de production peuvent aussi, à un certain moment, nuire à la solidarité communautaire, ici entendue de manière locale et globale. Nous avons besoin, dit le pape François, d'un nouveau paradigme culturel du développement. Nous nous efforçons au sein de notre dicaster et dans les propositions, les rencontres, les échanges auxquels nous participons, d'œuvrer à l'élaboration de ce nouveau paradigme, de cette nouvelle matrice qui s'inspire de l'Évangile et de la doctrine sociale de l'Église, et plus particulièrement dans la référence que nous faisons quotidiennement à l'encyclique du pape Paul VI, Populorum Progressio, en 1967. Je cite ce texte: « Pour être authentique, le développement qui ne se réduit pas à la simple croissance économique doit être intégral, c'est-à-dire promouvoir tout homme et tout l'homme. Nous n'acceptons pas, continue ce texte de Paul VI, de séparer l'économique de l'humain, le développement des civilisations où il s'inscrit. » Fin de citation au numéro 14 de Populorum Progressio. Ce qui compte dans cette perspective d'un développement humain et intégral, c'est l'homme, chaque groupement d'hommes, jusqu'à l'humanité tout entière. Notre vocation, votre vocation, consiste donc constamment à revenir à la promesse de l'humanité qui est inscrite en chacun et à nous laisser toucher, étonner, à nous laisser conduire par ce que porte chaque personne dans ses talents. C'est le chapitre 25 de l'Évangile selon saint Matthieu. Certains reçoivent un certain nombre de talents, certains reçoivent un talent, mais toute personne a reçu au moins un talent. Cet Évangile est très fort, qui nous invite à reconnaître, à mettre en valeur et à partager les résultats, les fruits de ce talent qui est inscrit en chacun. C'est une très noble vocation que de reconnaître, d'encourager, d'accompagner le talent de l'autre. C'est non seulement une vocation pédagogique, ce n'est pas seulement un accompagnement, c'est vraiment une aventure humaine que nous partageons, chacun avec ce que nous sommes, avec ce que nous avons appris, avec ce que nous avons reçu, avec ce que nous voulons donner. Et le pape Benoît XVI insistait sur le fait que ce qui fait la dynamique économique, ce n'est pas simplement ce que nous pouvons produire, c'est aussi cette gratuité, c'est-à-dire cette capacité à donner quelque chose de nous-mêmes pour la communauté, pour la collectivité. Cette visée intégrale, on pourrait dire exponentielle, du développement, nous conduit au sein du dicaster et dans les missions qui nous font rencontrer de multiples acteurs des pays, dans des champs économiques, sociaux, culturels, religieux divers, à risquer ce que nous appelons une approche transversale du développement. C'est-à-dire, de manière très concrète et très simple, proposer un dialogue entre les acteurs. Pas simplement faire pour que se développent ces capacités de l'autre, mais faire avec. Les deux mots sont très importants. Nous pouvons faire pour, mais nous pouvons aussi faire avec, construire avec, et en cela nous réjouir de la complémentarité des talents et de la complémentarité des acteurs de l'économie au sein de nos entreprises, aussi bien que dans les différents secteurs de l'administration et des services. En réunissant en un seul espace les conseils que nous connaissions et avec lesquels vous avez travaillé à l'Uniapac, le Conseil Justice et Paix, le Conseil Corunum, chargé de la solidarité immédiate auprès de ceux qui sont en souffrance, les acteurs de santé et le dicaster au service, à l'écoute et dans l'accompagnement des migrants et des réfugiés, en réunissant justice et paix, la solidarité, la santé et les migrants, nous tentons cette transversalité. Et nous essayons, bien humblement, en prenant appui sur la richesse des expériences des acteurs économiques et des acteurs de la solidarité, nous essayons de considérer les défis de ce nouveau paradigme du développement. L'aventure est passionnante, elle met en œuvre la vocation de chacun, elle est difficile aussi, car elle suppose que nous consentions à écouter l'autre. Nous sommes, dans notre vocation, invités à écouter l'autre, à participer à un dialogue entre les disciplines, les savoir-faire, les expériences, les conceptions même du possible et des limites du possible. En cela, nous avons sans doute, et vous avez sans doute, beaucoup de choses à vous dire. Et vous participez, en déployant cette vocation qui est la vôtre, à l'écoute, à l'innovation, à l'organisation, à la complémentarité des savoirs et des savoir-faire, vous participez à cette recherche d'un nouveau développement. Vous pouvez être des témoins de ce développement humain et intégral que nous pensons à partir de cette encyclique Laudato Si déjà évoquée, cette encyclique du pape François qui définit ce qu'il appelle une écologie intégrale. Cette écologie intégrale qui est la considération harmonieuse à l'égard de la création que nous avons reçue, la considération à l'égard des autres avec qui nous sommes engagés, nous sommes dans la collaboration, la relation harmonieuse à l'égard d'un devenir, d'un futur qui doit être notre souci permanent, et la relation harmonieuse avec nous-mêmes. Et je reviens à la vocation, car c'est sans doute en étant dans cette relation à la création, aux autres, à l'avenir et à nous-mêmes, que nous pouvons déployer pleinement ce que nous avons reçu et ce vers quoi Dieu nous envoie. Nous le savons bien, le monde de l'économie, le monde du travail, le monde de l'économie réelle et du travail, même s'il est traversé par des crises qui reposent souvent sur l'irresponsabilité de certains dirigeants et acteurs du monde de la finance ou de l'économie, ce monde du travail, ce monde de l'économie réelle est et demeure une école de la solidarité humaine, une école de la socialisation. Et nous sentons bien que lorsque nous parlons de l'entreprise comme le lieu même d'une communauté, c'est bien pour que chacun y réalise sa vocation et que personne ne puisse dire « j'avais un talent, mais j'ai eu peur ». C'est la phrase que nous trouvons dans l'Évangile selon saint Matthieu, lorsque celui qui a reçu un talent vient rendre son talent au maître lui disant « je te rends le talent que tu m'avais donné, que tu m'avais confié, car j'ai eu peur de toi ». À la veille de la conférence de la COP 24 qui se tiendra à Katowice, en Pologne, la première quinzaine de décembre, nous mesurons l'urgence de ce nouveau paradigme du développement et nous mesurons aussi l'urgence d'être pleinement donnés dans notre vocation de dirigeants aujourd'hui et demain. Urgence à oser le financement du soin de notre maison commune et à inventer de nouvelles formes de travail qui pourront permettre à la vie d'être encore possible demain, à la vie et à la vie commune. Nous sentons que nous avons besoin de passer d'une intention morale, d'un développement équilibré et intégral, à des décisions économiques, des décisions politiques, des décisions financières. Urgence à penser la limite de nos exploitations des ressources naturelles, mais aussi, dans le même temps, à encourager l'innovation pour développer de nouveaux possibles dans l'énergie, dans les transports, dans la manière de produire, dans la manière de consommer. Urgence à réconcilier la finance et le travail, deux mondes dont l'écart est aussi et trop souvent un écart entre des vivants, entre des personnes, entre des acteurs, entre des hommes et des femmes. Urgence à revenir sans cesse à l'école du pape François, à revenir sans cesse à la personne, et nous l'avons déjà dit à plusieurs reprises, à la dignité irréductible de chaque personne et de chaque acteur de l'économie, cette dignité qui est la marque transcendante de l'amour premier de Dieu, principe premier de toute la doctrine sociale catholique, principe premier de toute éthique inspirée de l'Évangile, car toute personne porte en elle une promesse, une vocation, un appel et une mission, y compris celles et ceux qui ont été exclus du jeu économique. Car nul n'est trop pauvre pour n'avoir rien à offrir à l'œuvre commune, à la communauté humaine. Et tout homme a reçu au moins un talent qu'il cherche à déployer. Si le défi est économique, nous percevons aussi qu'il est spirituel. Il touche à notre manière de recevoir, de contempler, de donner et d'espérer. Recevoir, contempler, donner, espérer. Économie, écologie, œcuménisme ont la même racine en grec, oikos, la maison commune. C'est donc de la maison dont il s'agit, de notre manière de construire la maison, de l'organiser et d'y vivre ensemble. C'est ensemble que nous habitons la création que le Créateur nous a confiée. C'est ensemble que nous construisons le lien d'humanité que le Christ a vécu au milieu de nous. Et le plus pauvre, le plus humble, doit pouvoir y trouver une place, un refuge, un rôle. Tout homme, toute femme, dans son humanité, dans son humilité, doit pouvoir y trouver sa vocation. Ces quelques réflexions qui me sont venues en lisant le document sur la vocation du dirigeant, je vais l'interrompre maintenant et très humblement moi-même, je vais vous apporter le message que j'ai reçu ce matin même avant de prendre l'avion et le message qui a été écrit par le Saint-Père lui-même à votre intention. Et c'est avec beaucoup d'émotion et de joie que je vous le lis maintenant. I offer a cordial greeting to all of you, business executives and leaders of economic life. We have gathered for the 26th Uniapac World Congress on the theme of Business as a Noble Vocation. From its origin, some 8 decades ago, your federation has thought to translate into economic and financial terms the principle and guidelines of Christian social doctrine in the light of changing times. Today's context of the globalization of economic activity and exchange has profoundly affected outlooks, goals, and ways of conducting business. Your decision to reflect on the vocation and mission of economic and business leaders is thus more essential and necessary than ever. In effect, with the more intensified pace of life and work, the goals of this rapid and constant change are not necessarily geared to the common good or to integral and sustainable human development, and can even cause harm to the world and to the quality of life of much of humanity. Amid such complex changes, fidelity to your vocation and mission calls for maintaining a delicate balance between embracing innovation and increasingly competitive production, while at the same time viewing progress within the greater horizon of the common good, human dignity, and a just use of the natural resources entrusted to our care. In your professional lives, you frequently encounter situations where these values are in tension, and consequently, you must make important practical decisions regarding investment and management. Here, it may prove helpful to recall 3 guiding principles present in the Gospel and in the Church social teaching. The first is the centrality of individual persons, with their abilities, their aspirations, and their problems and difficulties. The Church has always managed to do great things with scanty resources, as a reminder that the results are from God and not from men. The second letter of St. Paul to the Corinthians. When a business becomes a family, in which management is concerned that working conditions always serve the community, laborers in turn become a source of enrichment. They are encouraged to put their talents and abilities at the service of the common good, knowing that their dignity and circumstances are respected and not simply exploited. In exercising this economic discernment, the goals to be set should always be guided by the role of the common good, the second principle, the second reference. This foundational principle of Christian social thought illuminates and, like a compass, directs the social responsibility of businesses, their research and technology, and their services of quality control towards the building of a more human and fraternal society that can make the goods of this world more accessible to all. The principle of the common good points the way to an equitable growth wherein decisions, programs, mechanisms, and progresses are specifically geared to a better distribution of income, the creation of sources of employment, and an integral promotion of the poor that goes beyond a simple welfare mentality. In this way, the horizon can broaden to embrace the entire world and forces a new political and economic mindset open to higher values. The vocation of business leaders will become a noble commitment to the extent that it is open to being challenged by a greater meaning in life. Finally, we must never lose sight of the moral and economic value of labor, which is our means of cooperating with God in an ongoing creation, which hastens the coming of God's kingdom by promoting justice and social charity and by respecting the two dimensions, individual and social, of the human person. The noble vocation of business leaders will be evident in the measure that all human activity become a witness of hope in the future and an incentive to greater social responsibility and concern through each person's wise use of his or her talents and abilities. Like the first community of apostles who were chosen to accompany Jesus along his way, you too are called as Christian executives and business leaders to undertake a journey of conversion and witness with the Lord, allowing him to inspire and guide the growth of our contemporary social order. With prayerful good wishes for the fruitfulness of your deliberation, I ask Mary, Mother of the Church, to sustain you in hope and in docile openness to the Spirit, so that you can be effective instruments of the Lord, who constantly makes all things new. In imparting to you my blessing, I ask you please to remember to pray for me. At the Vatican, 22 of November, Francis.
Chamamos agora ao palco para a sua intervenção o professor Stefano Zamagni, keynote speaker desta sessão de abertura.
Good evening, everybody. Many thanks, dear friends of Uniapac, for having organized this 26th World Congress, which proves to be very effective and will mark a reference point for the future. Let me start from a general consideration. We know that we live today in an extraordinary time because we live in what has been called the second great transformation in the sense of Karl Polanyi. Karl Polanyi, in his famous book published in 1944 called The Great Transformation, was referring to the period at the time of the Industrial Revolution. Today we live a second great transformation connected to phenomena such as globalization and the third and fourth Industrial Revolution. So we should be aware of that, because when we live in these extraordinary times, the difficulties are with us, but at the same time, the challenges are harder, but also the satisfaction and the rewards are harder. Now, there is a general consensus today among both social scientists, in particular economists, and business leaders about the urgency to reform and transform the certain parts of the prevailing model of social order. However, there is no consensus about the direction that should be taken. That is why an organization such as Uniapac is particularly important, just because there is no consensus, even though, as I said, everybody recognizes that there is an urgent need to move. In a recent report by UN Global Compact and Accenture, one reads, I quote, "The global economy is on the wrong track and business is not playing its part in forging a sustainable future," unquote. This is a study of more than 1,000 CEOs from 27 industries across 103 countries, the largest study to date. Now, CEOs and business leaders call for a global architecture that can enable businesses to scale sustainability efforts. Let me remark that the same point was raised in the last part of the encyclical by Benedict XVI, Caritas in Veritate, and which was published, as you know, in the year 2009. And immediately afterwards, that sentence by Pope was heavily criticized. Nowadays, the same concept has been subscribed by this sample of 1,000 CEOs and business leaders. That is interesting. It means that ideas, when they are valid, they tend to generate results, even though not immediately, as we know from history, etc. In particular, CEOs and business leaders recognized that the market rules need to be shaped in order to create a level playing field and to modify what is happening today, namely that misbehavior is incentivized instead of being penalized. There is a recent book, a fascinating recent book by two Nobel Prize winners. Both of them are Americans. The names are Akerlof and Schiller. If you have time, read it. These are, I repeat, Nobel Prize winners in economics. The title of the book is Fishing for Fools. And I was happy and amazed that two big professors from mainstream eventually recognized that the present rules of the market game do not always support positive behavior. On the contrary, they tended to give incentives to misbehavior. That is why in this report, the manager said we need to change the rules of the games. It's not only a matter of rotten apples, but also of a rotten barrel, those who have prepared the barrel, the apple barrels, etc. Now, in this sense then, what are, in my opinion, the most important pillars in order to move some steps towards a new model of corporate governance and shareholder engagement? I indicate 5, not because they are the only ones, but those which I deem most important. The first one is that to consider that corporations are complex organizations whose effective functioning depends on intrinsically motivated leaders and managers. Intrinsically motivated. As we know, there are extrinsic motivations and intrinsic motivators. The success of a leader has more to do with intrinsic motivation than with whether his or her pay is tied to shareholder returns. In other words, incentive schemes are always dangerous, in spite of what we read in certain textbooks of economics, which are made on purpose in order to cheat or to modify the mentality of people. Because in the long run, incentive schemes tend to destroy trust. And when mutual trust is destroyed, there is nothing to be done, as many examples prove. By the way, the 2007-2008 crisis is in great part due to the use of incentive schemes, as we know. So the second pillar is that corporations can prosper only if they are able to learn, adapt, and transform themselves over time. Now, this is particularly true, as I said before, in this period of a great transition. In particular, let me refer to the organizational model. As we know, the still dominant organizational model within our firms is due to Frederick Taylor. Taylor published his book in 1911. The title is very famous, The Scientific Organization of Labor. But now we should be aware of the fact that Taylorism has become obsolete. In other words, the fourth industrial revolution has made the Tayloristic model of organization obsolete. Still, the vast majority of corporations continue to operate, not because they do not realize, because it takes time to modify them. A new model organization, as you know, is emerging. Is what in America has been called holacracy. Holacracy is a Greek word which has been coined by Brian Robertson, professor of business administration at the Harvard Business School, which is the #1 at the world level among the business schools. Now, in the book which he published in the year 2007, he describes how this new organizational model should work. Now, if we take that model, holacracy, kratos in Greek means power, holos means to all. In other words, the redistribution of power within the firm. Now, if you read the book, which now has been translated in many different languages, and you compare, for instance, with the document that the Justice and Peace Pontifical Council published, as was mentioned by Monsignor Dufay a few minutes ago, is exactly a replica. That is fascinating to see that ideas which have been born within the Catholic social teaching, and in particular by the work of Uniapac in the last 15, 20 years, have had a major impact on this new, let's say, way of organizing the labor. Again, that is another proof that ideas, when they are solid, they tend to produce results, even though not immediately. But that is a second point. We need to change our organization, not because they are wrong, but because they have become obsolete. Because there is no need for me to explain the implication of artificial intelligence, machine learning, etc., convergent technologies. We cannot maintain the same organizational setup which proved to be okay in the past period. A third pillar of a new model of corporate governance has to do with the following consideration: that corporations perform many functions in society, as we know. Generally, we tend to include the following. They generate wealth, they generate jobs, goods, services, obviously. But there is more than that. And that is a very reductionist stance to consider that corporations are only instrumental towards what I just mentioned, generation of jobs, goods, services, wealth, etc., which is obvious. Because nowadays, in particular, corporations have become political agents. I know that this is a difficult concept. I have no time to elaborate. But political, not in the sense of political parties, but in the Greek sense of the word, polis, which means the community. In other words, we should consider that firms, corporations, cannot consider themselves as isolated from the rest of society. They are part of their society, and in particular, they should consider that it's impossible to do good business in a broken society. So if I observe that my society where I am installed is broken for one reason or another, I cannot say to myself, I have only to mind my own businesses, which is okay, which is true. But I have also to consider what should I do in order to modify the situation. That is what today is called corporate civil responsibility. Now, until recently, we've been talking about corporate social responsibility, and that was a major advance. But today is not enough. We have to move towards corporate civil responsibility, where civil reminds us that my firm, my corporation, should take part in the modification of something which goes wrong, because otherwise a broken society will not be instrumental to develop. That is, I move to fourth. The fourth has to do with the following consideration, that corporations must have ethical standards to guide interaction with all levels of constituencies. But again, a clarification is in order. Everybody talks today about ethics or ethical values, etc. But as we know, not all ethical values are friends of human beings. We need a particular ethical, and that is the ethical virtue. Because, for instance, utilitarianism is also an ethical theory. Jeremy Bentham, 1789, in England, when he published his famous book, he was professor of ethics. And utilitarianism is an ethical theory. But it's an ethical theory which, as we know, is not a good friend of the human person. The ethical virtue, on the other hand, is our guide. In other words, we should avoid the so-called cut flower syndrome, the American called like that. Cut flower syndrome refers to the fact that we keep on talking the language of values. But when these values are separated from their cultural and spiritual, let's say, foundations, the values wither. That is, again, the cut flower syndrome, which is very common in not in this case, but in general in the business sector. Finally, let me move to the fifth pillar. That is, has to do with the effort to fight against moral disengagement. Moral disengagement is an expression which Albert Bandura is very famous in the United States. He's a psychologist. His last book is as big as 900 pages. It's a sort of a summa for the... and he dedicates that book to the business as well. And it's interesting, because he says, what is moral disengagement? It's a cognitive process that serves to deactivate the self-regulatory processes that normally deter individuals from actions that violate their own moral standards. And if you happen to read certain chapters of that book, he dedicates to misbehavior of many corporations that speak the language of values, of moral values, but they found cognitive mechanisms in order to protect their behavior from the judgment of their own values, etc. Now, that is a point for which Catholic social teaching is very relevant. And I was surprised when I read in the book by Bandera, I don't know whether or not he is a believer or not, I don't know him personally. He's a rather old, a very old person. He says Catholic Catholic social teaching is an antidote, and it's an powerful antidote against moral disengagement. And so I was happy to read that, even though I don't know whether he attaches also other meaning to that, etc. So now, coming towards the conclusion, the practical implications stemming from these pillars, as you can understand, are far-reaching. Of course, it is not difficult to extract from the 5 pillars concrete and practical indication of behavior, etc. Let me only say that today we do not lack professional CEOs or competent directors or highly trained executives. It is leadership that is falling short. That is the point. That is why the title which has been given to this Congress is particularly pertinent, because we need more leaders. Of course, we should continue to train experts, but what we today lack is not that. In the past was like that, when, let's say, corporate knowledge was not diffused, etc. We need leaders. And as you know, leaders are much more than executives, much more than CEOs. They lead. And to lead, one needs to have wisdom. It's not enough competence, it is not enough intelligence, we need wisdom, what the Greek used to call phronesis. Phronesis in Greek means wisdom, etc. However, it's proper to indicate there are very interesting signs of novelties in recent times. Let me only quote a few of them. As you know, the Vatican has created recently, and it will be announced shortly, a new foundation, which is called Quadragesimo Anno Foundation. The president is Cardinal Veillon. And this foundation is, of course, the Pope Francis is behind that. He is particularly devoted to the financial world. In other words, the idea is to arrive at the preparation of an ethical standard in order to establish rankings of ethical behavior in the financial world. There is no need for me to say how rotten was the financial, in particular speculation, etc. And so we need to indicate to business people like you and many others what are the criteria on the basis of which an investment or another financial instrument can be considered acceptable from an ethical point of view. And that is a nice sign of the times. A second positive piece of news has to do with the recent document published last May this year jointly by the Pontifical Council for the Doctrine of the Faith and Pontifical Council for Integral Human Development, the title of which is Economiche and Pecuniarias Questiones. That is the usual title in Latin, etc. Now, that is an important document. It's not a big one, 22, 23 pages, but it's really an important, really. And it is the first time that the Pontifical Council for the Doctrine of the Faith published, in this case jointly with the other Pontifical Council, a document on economic and financial matters. And as you know, certain people criticize that, saying, why the Pontifical Council of the Doctrine of Faith devotes its efforts and time to deal with the financial matters. That is interesting to see also the reaction of many other people to that. And what is the gist of this document? To speak in an official way against the thesis of the double morality. Now, that is a real scandal, because in the financial world, until this document, nobody cared to denounce the thesis of the double morality. It is a thesis which has its basis in a famous article published in the Harvard Business Review in 1968 by the American economist Albert Carr. C-A-R-R. Read that article. Try to read it. You will immediately understand everything. In that article, Carr says the ethical rules which should be applied in financial sector should not be the same as the ethical rules which should be applied in all the rest of the economy. Why? Because he says the financial game is like a poker game. So people, bankers, they are supposed to cheat. They have to cheat. Now, it's written like this. I couldn't believe my eyes. I had to read many times because he said, how is it possible in the Harvard Business Review? And when the article was published, Milton Friedman, who was the master of Albert Carr, he congratulated him. He said, oh, you have done an excellent job, because that is how things should be done. Now, the first document which took a stance against that is the document I mentioned now, and it was published last May of this year. So that is, again, another sign which indicates that when we want, it is possible to change. Because this document, of course, has been criticized by certain people, but it is generating certain results. Let me only mention one, for lack of time. As you know, the Dutch Banking Association has taken a decision whereby, before taking a job within a bank, the person involved has to make an oath. That is called the Banca Oath. Read the Banca Oath, based on 10 points, where one of the points says, I promise on my, let's say, integrity, my conscience, that I will, in my operation, I will refuse the thesis of double morality. That is something. And Holland is not a minor country. The Dutch people, they know how to do business in the financial sector. So that is a piece of novelty which deserves to be spread and in many other contexts. Another has to do with the argument, with the fact that social responsible investment and social impact investment are spreading around. And that is another way to indicate why business leaders operating in the real side of the economy needs this. Because, as you know better than me, most of the time you are frustrated by a wrongly functioning financial sector, etc. I have to conclude. And let me conclude with this consideration. The 15th century was the century of the first humanism, a typically European event. The 21st century, from the very outset, powerfully demonstrates the need for a second humanism. At that time, the shift was from feudalism to modernity, was the decisive factor which pushed in that direction. Today, it is an equally great transformation, as I mentioned, from modernity to post-modernity that shows us the need for a new humanism. Globalization, financialization of the economy, convergent technologies, migrations, identity conflicts, environmental challenges, increasing inequalities are only a few of the key words telling us about the discontent of civilization, to cite the famous book by Sigmund Freud. In facing these new challenges, merely updating our old categories of thoughts or refurbishing collective decision techniques, however refined, would not be suitable for the purpose. We must have the wisdom and the courage to walk on new path. And in this regard, let me quote 2 lines of an important article published in 1986 by Cardinal Ratzinger, lately Benedict XVI. The article has the following title: Market, Economy, and Ethics. Listen what he wrote in 86, much before the crisis. I quote, "A morality that believes itself able to dispense with the technical knowledge of economic laws is not morality, but moralism. A scientific approach that believes itself capable of managing without an ethos misunderstands the reality of man. Therefore, it is not scientific. Today, we need a maximum of specialized economic understanding, but also a maximum of ethics, so that specialized economic understanding may enter the service of the right goals, unquote. It's interesting that already in his days, Cardinal Ratzinger was able to, in a sense, anticipate future events. But I have to conclude really. And I would like to conclude with a famous passage from William Blake, the famous English poet. Now, in one of his writings, he writes, "I searched for my soul, and I did not find it. I searched for God, and I did not find him. I searched for my brother, and I found all three." Now, this it's clear the meaning of this English poet, which derives the intuition from the gospel passage in which Jesus tells us that his face is hidden behind the shabby profiles of our brothers. That is what I wish to all my friends of Uniapac to continue to follow this piece of advice. Thank you very much.
Stefan, stay there. Stay there for a final picture. For a final picture. So we are finishing. Final remarks. Today is Thanksgiving, so which is a God incidence, and I hope that these days could be harvesting days. So with lots of fruits and flourishing. I would like to invite you, if you want, we have a praying room downstairs in the lower level. You can go those downstairs and you can take your time. Tomorrow it will be open from 8 a.m. And for Saturday we are planning a surprise. But if you want to take time, please use it. It's free. Tomorrow Tomorrow we start at 9 a.m. with a praying time with our Cardinal Dom Manuel, our Lisbon Patriarch, and please be sharp at 9 or even before. Try to be here before, because we intend to start. It will be a full day, and we have lots of keynote speakers, and it will be a bit stress in terms of time. Okay, I would like to invite all the speakers for a picture, but prior to that, for a final prayer, please, Monsignor.
I would like to invite you to stand up and to receive in the silence, just a little moment of silence, the Spirit of our God, who calls everybody to develop his vocation, his talents, who calls all the human community to grow together towards more justice and peace. Our God, you gave creation to continue your creation. You gave us the possibility, the talents, the capacity, the abilities to work together to build a common house for all people, with all people. And you show with Jesus Christ, our brother, our Savior, that the key of development, the meaning of development, is to trust everybody, to trust in you, to trust and to hope. Our Father, who art in heaven, thy will be done, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth and as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, our wisdom to forgive our trespasses, and do not lead into temptation, but deliver us from evil. The peace of Christ be with you.
Amen. See you tomorrow. Thanks a lot for coming. Final picture. Final picture. Thanks so much.